Hello, my name is Robert Lowe, and I am one of the lecturers on the MSc. My particular interests are in health behaviour motivation, why people do and don't behave in the sorts of ways they're supposed to do to maintain their health or when they're ill. In particular, I'm interested in stress and coping, coping with stress that's associated with illness, health behaviour motivation in the forms of attitudes and beliefs and that sort of thing, but also the cognitive processes, the underlying information processing that's involved in all of these various areas. Now, I've got a particular project that I'm very keen to find an enthusiastic student to help me with to collect some data, and it's focusing on this area of stress and coping with illness. In particular, it's about this area of how do people know what to do when they feel ill? Now, when you think about it, it takes ages to train a doctor, but when you feel ill, you're left in a decision of how you're going to respond to this. Do you go to A&E? Do you try and self-treat? Do you go and see your GP, for example? And the decisions that people make will depend on their own internal representation of what they think is wrong with them. And this internal representation will guide and dictate how they respond. So, for example, if you suddenly felt very ill and things were happening very quickly and you thought this was serious, you might be inclined to go to action as an emergency, or trying to get to see your GP more, as fast as you can. On the other hand, if you felt that something was not at all serious, that it was, due to maybe you had a heady curry last night or something like that, you might decide to self-treat because you might think it's indigestion and what have you. And obviously, this representation can change and evolve over time as symptoms develop. Now, this is a particularly influential theory that's guided a lot of recent research in this is devised by Howard Leventhal and his self-regulation model, also known as the common sense model. Now, this model has been applied a lot recently, looking at these illness representations and the elements that make up an illness representation and how their structure and how these are related to coping. Now, having said that, the specific mechanism of how a given belief set relates to coping is surprisingly understudied. And so there's this bit of a gap in the literature looking at this. And so what I'm trying to do is link more specifically the illness representations that people have with various coping options. Sure, we've got a lot of information on the illness representation and how these link to a specific illness label, but not on the coping side. And so this is gap in the literature. So what I've got is it's essentially a questionnaire survey that we've been working on over the last few years, developing and refining. And now essentially I want to really put this survey now to the test. So I'm looking for anybody who can help me collect some data for this study of coping with illness. If that does sound like your thing, feel free to come and talk with me. I'm happy to chat over it. You can drop me an email. It's Robert Paul Lowe, so it's r.p.lowe, L-O-W-E, at Swansea, AC UK. My room is 723 in the Vivian Tower, so that's the Vivian Tower, 7th floor, in one corner. And if I'm in, my door is often open, so just knock and I'm happy to chat anytime. Okay, thank you very much.